COVID event, we all are witnessing a situation where most of the people are at stay at home. Probably in the coming few months from now also, people will be hesitant to go out and interact with each other. So the social distancing will be applied. Government are doing a lot of bit of their part to open up the economy, but for the next 4-5 months, you will see social distancing will be there. People will be hesitant to go out and mix up with other people if it is not required as far as essential things are concerned. So the kind of business that we are doing earlier, a lot of business has to go for a sea change in the processes that they have. I have seen in the last 1 month, a lot of companies have adopted technology. They are using technologies to reinvent themselves, to restructure their businesses. Yes, we have logistical, we have supply chain, we have transportation issues, but I think in the next 1 or 2 months it will be solved. So that's one thing is paramount, that going ahead we need to do more of an online business. We need to adapt technology into our business model so that we can able to adapt to this changing new normal structure. When we talk about the sales process, we talk about the sales process and sales closing. Okay, when we talk about the sales process, I always say that sales, if finance is like a blood running through your vein in the body, sales is like a heartbeat. You need to have a continuous sales coming up to your business year after year, month after month, week after week. So if your sales is not coming, you will not be able to generate huge cash flow and finances for your business. Now, practically speaking, there are 6 processes of sales, and I see a lot of entrepreneurs, our startup entrepreneurs, they say that they are not good at sales. I will not be doing sales. So what I mean to say that if you are an entrepreneur, you need to be good at sales, right? So sales is the only #1 skill set that every entrepreneur should have. And in today, apart from doing the normal sales that the people are doing, if they follow certain processes and systems, sales looks very much easier. I'm going to describe you how you can make sales embed in your system so that you can get continuous leads coming into your business, and that will be helpful to you. When we talk about the sales, there are basically 6 processes involved. Okay, #1 is prospecting. #2 is about contacting the prospect. #3 is about presentation. #4 is about follow-up and delivery. #5 is about referral, and #6 is customer relationship. When we talk about this 6 process, we need to understand there is a buyer's journey also parallelly which goes alongside your sales process. I see a lot of people, they do not able to get repeat sales, they do not able to generate a lot of referral. Now, why I say the buyer's journey, that if you understand the buyer's journey, you will able to see whether your sales process is aligned to the buyer's satisfaction or not. So when we talk about the buyer's journey, we talk about engagement, we talk about interest generation, we talk about overall experience the buyer is having if they're buying a product from you. When we talk about the prospecting, let's come to the point that when we talk about prospecting, people say that it's a cold calling kind of thing. So it's not a cold calling only. There are 3 ways of you can do prospecting. Okay, I'm talking a generalized sense of business, in the sense it can be applied in any business, that whatever things you're doing about how you can generate more leads and build a systematic sales process in your organization, which is individual, which is not dependent on yourself. So when you talk about the prospecting, there are 3 things. #1 comes as what is called the customer. So that is called a warm leads. #2, it could be you do not know the customers. That is called a cold lead. And #3, it could be your customer knows you. So that's the 3 kind of scenario that you can have in a prospecting thing. Now, when I talk about the prospecting, a lot of people who start business, they do not come from a sales background, they do not come from a business background, and they struggle to generating more leads. Whatever the business that they are picked up to do, B2B, B2C kind of business. Now, when I say that, I will give you a couple of steps that where you can generate continuous leads from. #1 could be social media. Like today, as we all know, that most of the people, they spend their time in social media, and that is the best way that you can actually see yourself see your product and service to the world. So number one is the social media. Number two is cold prospect, as I already told, that you go and approach people you don't know via telephone, via emailing, via contacts, that way. Number three could be friendship. You know, friendship is another kind of thing which is very important. Like you go to the pubs, you go to the golf course, you go to the sports ground, you go to the cafeteria, and you go to the various events, and you meet up with the people who actually matches with your interest and hobbies. You know, you start interacting with those people, and once you start interacting, and then you actually build a friendship with them, and which actually can take it towards the business conversion. Number four could be, there are a lot of networking events which happen in your city. If you can closely watch the newspaper and various internet sites, you will be able to know that a lot of networking events happen. You can go and approach the network people, and you can create plenty of people out there. You can go and mix up with those people and talk to them about it. Number five could be influential marketing. I will tell you a little bit later about that influential marketing. And number six could be digital marketing campaign that you can run across over the period of time, which I will also be telling you. And there could be another, number seven will be people who have already taken your business from, and they're referring your business to someone else. So there are 7-8 different ways where you can get your prospect from, that is your leads from. So those are the 7-8 things where you can leads from. Now, from the buyer's point of view, it is about, now if you see from the buyer's point of view, it is about creating awareness, right? It is about telling the world that I am present and this is my product and services. So that's from the buyer's journey point of view. So one first important steps in your prospecting. So you have to see in your sales process that whether are you getting enough leads or not on a continuous basis. So it is very important. I have seen people that a lot of people are very good at sales closing, but they do not able to generate a lot of sales, lot of leads in that. So you need to understand, if you are not able to generate leads, it will be difficult to sustain over a long period of time. So I have told you about 7 different ways of how you can generate different kind of leads. Those I've already mentioned. Number two, which is about contacting those leads, approaching those leads. Now, when I talk about the approaching those leads, it is very important in sales. It is important that you need to be very disciplined, and you need to be have an eye for details of everything. I was talking to people a couple of days back, and over the internet, we are having a conference there, and they said that in Europe, a couple of sales organizations are there, and those sales people usually they do have a research team of their own. Whenever they used to go to meet any prospective customers, the leads which they got, they used to do a thorough research of those people. Now, understand, when you do a thorough research of those people, don't you think it will be easier for you to approach those people and actually pitch your product and services vis-a-vis the person you are approaching? You don't know anything about those persons. Okay, so it is important that Abhimanyu, hi, you are audible right now?
Yes, sir. I'm back.
Yes,
I fixed the technical issue. I don't know what technical issue was having. Please continue,
okay,
sir. Please continue.
So second point, as I'm talking about contacting the leads and approaching the leads. When you are, as I told earlier, is that when you are approaching a leads, you need to have an eye for details. Eye for details means whenever you're going to meet a customer, get as much of details as you can from the customers. Now, today, getting a details per customer is not difficult. You have every customer has a social media presence. Every customer has information is available across the internet media. So it will be very easier for you to approach the client who you are going to if you know the details of it. Now, there are 4 things when you need to go and approach the client. Number 1 is the need, whether the customer really need your product. Number 2 is time, whether the customer has time to meet you or not. Number 3, most important thing is the decision maker or not. Now, a lot of time what happens that you approach a client, whatever product and service that you have, you approach a client, they are not the decision maker. You may be pitching your product and service to the particular person, but that person is not a decision maker, and probably they will get back to you saying that I will think about your product. Probably they're going to ask someone else who have not heard of you, and as well your product will not be qualified for them. So it is important to understand whether you're approaching the client, they truly need it. they have a time, they are the decision maker or not. So before approaching a client with the leads that you got, I told you how to generate a number of leads. Do a little bit of in detail study about the customers, how they are doing, what they are coming from, what is their whether they are paying capacity of the product or not. So all those things will help you increase your conversion ratio. Now, from the buyer's perspective, I will say that this is called an engagement. Now, in a first point, I said that from the buyer's perspective, it is about creating awareness. You are saying that when you're generating leads, you're saying that I am here, I am present. This is my product and services. In a second step, when you are approaching your leads, it is about engagement. Engaging with your client. Now, third important sales process is about presentation. Now, I am going to tell you a lot of presentation leaks which you normally happens. Do figure out whether this thing are in your sales pitch, whether this thing are missing in your thing or not. I say when a person go and meet with a customer, I see a lot of people used to speak a lot. They do not allow the customer to speak. See, understand, whatever product and service that you are having, if you constantly speak and if you don't get a response from your client, from your customer whom you are pitching, it is very difficult that what kind of engagement that they are having or not. So you try to interact as much as you can with your presentation with the client. Second thing is that you need to customize your product according to the client you meet. Normally your product will be product features will be same, but if you're going to a customers who are of a different social strata with your product, and if you're pitching the same way to the same customers, it will be difficult. So you need to have your product pitch ready. You need to customize according to their customers' point of view, and ask a lot of questions from the customers, and that will help you out, your understanding how your customers are feeling from the net. So in a process, understand from the buyer's point of view, if you start doing these things, they will have this interest. You will create interest point of view. In the first steps, I talk about generating leads. In the second step, I talk about approaching leads. In the third step, I talk about presentation of your product and service. Vis-a-vis, I talk about creating awareness from the buyer's point of view, engagement, and generating interest of your product. So these are the three steps. Now, finally, the fourth step that I am going is that follow up, negotiate, and delivery. Now, once you present your product, obviously, in most of the case, client will not take your product, right? A lot of time client take it, but you may have a higher conversion ratio, you may have a lower conversion ratio. It depends upon person to person, how many period of time the customers, the salesperson they are in the market, his skill set, depending upon that, it happens with 4 steps. Now, when you go and meet your customers, when you actually follow up, negotiate, and try to close with the customers, I want to ask you that, do you really have a system in place to do that? Once you meet a customer, you present your product, and customer said that, okay, I will get back to you, or you take another appointment. So, do you have a systems which automatically remind customers of the next meeting? Probably an email, a message. So there are a lot of business tools which are available, which you can actually implement in your business, so that you can follow up the entire sales process. These 4 sales steps which I've told you about, it can be automated in that thing. The final step, this follow-up steps. Actually, if you are a pure salesperson, every entrepreneur has to be a salesperson first, right? So they need to go out and meet as many people as they can. So if you are meeting a huge number of people, it will be nearly impossible for you if you do not practice systems and processes to follow that. And now, from the buyer's point of view, when you deliver the product, now this follow-up, delivery, and this thing, from the buyer's point of view, is called commitment. So understand. So when you are delivering a product after a follow-up, you are committing a product to them, right? The fifth step, which I called about the referral, and that is the most important steps here. The fifth step, referral. Now here, I want to ask you a question. How many of your clients do genuinely refer you businesses? How many of your clients do you get constant referral from? So if you are not getting constant referral from, if you are not getting referral from your existing client, you need to understand from the buyer's point of view that they are having some lack of experience dealing with your business, dealing with you, with your product and services, not you. So you need to figure out where is the buyer's experience goes wrong in the first 4 steps that I've mentioned to you. So those you need to figure out and understand that. So referral business, once if you have doing a business for suppose say for a couple of years, and if you have a consistent amount of client base, you need to have a consistent referrals. So if you're not getting that, their bias experience is somewhere lacking. You need to do a feedback mechanism. There is a feedback process in place which you can get from the customers and build into your systems. So this today's webinar is not about product development or marketing part, because I'm talking only about the sales thing. So I will stick to that point only. The sixth important thing is customer relationship management. Customer relationship management, it's a lot of things depend upon the interpersonal skills, how you treat people, how you treat customers. That's what. So this entire 6 things create a loop in the entire sales process. Now, in the entire sales process, I will tell you that the first 2 steps which I have said about prospecting and approaching client, these are the most important. This is the most important. Why I say that a lot of business struggle because they're not able to generate continuous leads for their businesses. If you're not able to generate continuous leads, if you're not able to create a sales funnel, it will be difficult for you to sustain in a long period of time. Because today, a lot of companies are coming up, the competition is thriving, and it will be very difficult if you are satisfied with a set number of clients, suppose say 10, 15, 20, 100, 50, whatever number of clients. So you need to have a continuous rollover of business. So in the 5 steps, in the 6 steps which I have mentioned, figure out where you are lacking. If you are having a real problem in sales, you need to figure out in the 6 steps where exactly you're having a problem. Keep a deep focus on the first 2 points that I have mentioned. And second important thing is that whether you're following a system and process or not, there are a lot of CRM management software available where actually you can plug in all the leads, all the sales which are coming across to you into that. Tag those things to different salespeople in your organization and actually monitor the entire sales structure in your organizations. Now, these are the sales process which I mentioned. Coming to the sales closing. Now sales closing. There's one important thing which we all heard. I started my career in finance, and then I started a lot of doing sales, because being an entrepreneur and into sales constantly. A lot of questions that comes up which says that once we pitch the product to the customers, I talk about the presentations, and then the customer in the follow-up sections, the customer says that I will get back to you. That's a very normal thing, and I think most of the people out there who are listening today, they are quite habituated by listening to this word that I will get back to you. The research says that when a customer says that I will get back to you, 90 to 95% cases the customer will not get back to you. Understand, customers do not want to get sold. The prospect normally lags. So considering the fact that 90 to 95% of the people, when they say that I will get back to you, will not get back to you, you need to understand 2 things: whether the customer is saying that politely or it is a genuine reason from their point of view. So you need to ask them a question. I'll give you a couple of suggestions. You need to ask them a questions so considering that we will not be doing business, is it the price? Is it the term? Is it the product? I just want to know that what exactly is stopping you to take a decision right now. So probably he will respond. And once he responds, you try to make sure that the client responds. So when you talk to respond, you try to interact with the client and take it forward from there. In a second important aspect, I mentioned about approaching client. I mentioned about when you are approaching client, you need to figure out 4 things. That is a need, time, money, and decision maker. Suppose you are going to pitch a product to a housewife, and the product pricing probably is a higher side, and she is a housewife, her husband is working. The decision has to be taken by the husband, and nowhere she can influence the husband's decisions. There are a lot of things where normally housewife says that I want this product, to husband actually get to this thing. So if you're approaching a product with a right decision maker, what I mean to say in that your these questions will not come. So that's why I mentioned in the point number 2 that the sales process will actually help you in closing the sales. That's number 2. In a sales closing, another thing happened that a lot of people say that I usually approach a lot of people, but they normally a lot of people say negative things. A lot of people reject me upfront. One of the most of the people who are starting their business from home or somewhere else, they say that a lot of people actually reject us. They say no to our product and services. What should we do in that case? But I want to say one thing. There is no foolproof systems. There is no education systems when it comes to the sales closing. We are talking about sales closing aspect only. Now, when it comes to a sales closing, you have to understand that it's an examination. Remember in our childhood days when we used to give examinations, we used to study a lot. Now, if we are going to give the examination without studying, obviously we know the result, right? In a sales, the same thing will happen. To make conversion ratio 50%, 60%, 80%, 90%, you need to study. You need to practice. And how can you practice? You need to constantly go and meet as much of customers in your particular segment as possible and get rejected. So once you start getting rejected initially, you will get a lot of learnings from the market. You will improvise where you are actually getting missed out. And you come back and actually learn from the on-field and execute that. Suppose, say for example, today, if you are meeting 100 people and your rejection rate is, suppose, say 90%, you need to understand that why actually you are getting rejected. If you are really not able to find the solutions, you need to go to the professionals and seek solutions that why I'm getting not rejected, why I'm rejected. So you need to introspect a lot and develop. So if you do that, I assure you that in 6 months, 7 months, 8 months, or 10 months, or a year or 2 years time, your conversion ratio will improve. And that's why I call a sales examination. A sales examination, like you're meeting the customers, where actually they will decide whether you will pass or fail, like thing. So if you give an example of Virat Kohli, of Indian cricket star, the kind of practice that this guy do. In the late night, you will see he used to practice. It's not like he is come to play test cricket and one day cricket right away without practicing. Every person used to practice. Now, sales is wonderfully easy if you actually take it in a practice format. If you actually understand that rejection is a part of the game, it's a part of the learning process. So in a sales closing, I discuss about two things: how a customer's questions you can handle. That you can handle with the step 2 of my sales process. And second thing, that if you can able to increase the conversion ratio, that can only happen when you go and keep practice and practice and practice. That's the only way that you can do that. So that's a normal sales process and closing that I've discussed. It's a generalized statement. Every business will have their own different ways of doing businesses, but you can actually apply those systems in your business and see the results coming up.